An hour?
A whole hour.
Oh.
Welcome to the Jungle Brothers podcast. It's me, Joey. We've got Paulie.
Yo.
And then we've got three of Jungle Brothers OG members. These three women were last year's collective member of the year. It was the first time we awarded it to more than one person. Elaine, Doris, and Ali, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Can I get, I want to get a bit of a background on who each of you are, just for listeners. You're an OG of the tribe, which means that you've trained with us for longer than, well, to be an OG, you have to train with us for longer than 4 years, I think. You girls have been OGs twice over by now. It almost doesn't speak to the vintage of your experience with us. Can I get a little background on each of you, what you do and how long you've been around for? Elaine?
You mean in terms of being around for at JB's?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
wow. Okay. I feel like I'm part of the furniture.
You're known unofficially as the mayor.
The mayor. That is true. Paul coined that phrase.
I don't know if I did, but I definitely reinforce it. Let
Yeah.
everyone know.
Yeah. I'm Elaine. I guess I've been coming to Jungle Brothers since, sorry.
No, you're good.
Lost the mic there.
You're coming through that and
Maybe
clear.
5 years? Is it really 5 years? It
I
could
think
be.
we've been here for almost 4.
Yes.
So,
Well,
and you were at the old gym for a
may
good
have
couple of
even
years.
be longer than 5 years, which is a little bit scary. I live locally. Was a member at the original gym. It was great. It was just around the corner. I was lucky enough to bump Doris and her lovely family there, and they've become really good friends. And Alison, who I trained with before Jungle Brothers. So I've known Alison a little bit longer than that. I work for City of Sydney Council, so pretty desk bound when I'm not out visiting my teams. I manage programs and services for the community in the Glebe, Pyrmont, Ultimo area. So,
Right on.
Yeah, cool.
Thank you. Doris?
Well, I've been coming to JB's for as long as Elaine. I guess we joined about the same time. I am lucky enough now to work just at Chegwin Street, just for some builders. I've been with them for about 13 years.
You swinging hammers or?
I think I actually prefer that, to be honest. But I do all the payroll and the accounts, and they're like a second family as well. They're actually very accommodating. That if I want to come in late, if I wanted to do a class or some fitness things, they're very accommodating with my flexible work hours. So, because they know how important training is to me. And that's about it.
Very cool.
Yep.
Very cool. Thank you, Doris. Ali?
So I'm Alison. I joined up Jungle Brothers probably about 5 years ago, just over 5 years ago, under the recommendation of Elaine. Was looking for a new gym to train at, and she recommended I get in touch with you guys, which I did, and here I am, still 5 years later. I'm a clinical nurse specialist in gynae ward at the Women's Hospital, work night duty 2 nights a week, and do a little bit of coaching on the side here as well.
You're a coach at Jungle Brothers.
I am.
How long have you been coaching with us now?
Oh gosh, well I did the internship at the old gym, so 4 years.
One of the original interns, eh?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that was the first
There was
I think
internship.
it
you.
was, yeah.
Who else
Yeah.
was there? Jen? Remember
Yeah,
the other?
Jen
Your
Keating.
doppelganger?
And then
Who was the other one?
Marco was supposed to do it, which was
Yeah.
part of the reason I was going to do it to start with.
He was a big attraction.
And the guy that moved to Perth.
Joel.
Joel. Joel.
Of course. Yeah,
Yes.
Jolly.
Big red.
Big Red. Yeah, that was early days internship.
That was.
Yeah.
I think
Very
we were
early
just
days.
reading the course off the back of a napkin.
Yeah, pretty much. We didn't get a certificate or anything in those
No.
days, no.
But you know what I've been thinking since we've started doing the certificates, that we got to get one for all you guys.
Oh, I reckon.
It only seems like the right thing to do.
Backdate it.
That's super cool. And so you girls you're all from this part of town,
Yes.
and you all found your way to our gym a long time ago. So you've seen a lot of changes take place. What I'm really with this episode, I don't want it necessarily to go into like how cool Jungle Brothers is and why you like it so much. Because obviously we know you have a good time here and you value it because you're still here after all this time. But what I think is quite interesting and what I want to know a bit more about is how you've seen the fitness industry change over the years. Doris, you were commenting before on your first fitness instructional was delivered via LP.
Yes, that's right.
Can you tell us a bit more about that? Like, what year was it?
Okay.
How did this
Peter.
thing? What were the exercises?
So, I don't remember the exercise, but it would have been about 40 years ago. And I thought it was fantastic, and just had a poster and followed the guy's voice, Richard Simmons, and I used to just follow that along.
How old are you now?
I'm 64.
Right on.
But before that, when I worked in the city, the first gym there was John Valentine's. I don't know if you remember it. So this is like, 42 years ago or something. And men and women actually went on different days.
Oh, wow.
And everybody had to dress the same way. So we all had to wear black leotards and black jiffy shoes. And
Were they like little dancing shoes or something?
And that was what everyone had to wear. And men went blah, blah, blah day, and we went on the alternate days. And that was like the first gym. That's what the gyms were like back then.
Was it classes or was it?
Yeah, it was classes. Yeah,
Right.
it was classes.
So you're following the leader
so
kind
it
of
was
thing.
just it was just grapevine and all that type of stuff.
No, I don't.
You don't? Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Who doesn't know? Okay.
You know,
all right.
the grapevine.
Doris will quote you the grapevine.
Yeah.
just
Check our YouTube channel for the latest content.
I thought everyone would know that one. Yeah. Okay. But that was the first gym I ever went to. But
Was that quite it sounds like it would have been a bit of a prestigious.
It was.
Was it expensive? Was it kind of?
it was. Yeah, it was. It
Yeah.
was in King Street in Sydney, and and it was the only gym around.
What's
Yeah.
LP?
A record. What do you call it?
Okay, that's what you meant.
Yeah,
okay, I was just
it
making
was.
sure.
Yeah, it was.
That's so good. So it's just the
It was
audio
a vinyl.
only.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. But you had a poster.
Yeah, okay, there was a poster
There was a
fold out
poster
inside.
in fold that you followed along.
And was it like
Wow.
was it like a dance kind, like an aerobics
Aerobic.
kind of thing, or was it like squats and?
No. I think everything back then, to be honest, was more aerobic.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the first,
Aerobic was the.
I think the
yeah.
first gym I ever went to, they did nothing but aerobics.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was all about heart rate and getting your heart rate up, and you just
Yeah.
went hell for leather for an hour.
Yeah.
steppers, or did that come later?
came
Yeah,
in.
then they brought the step class. I could
Yeah.
never do that because I lack coordination.
Yeah.
It's like rubbing your stomach and patting your head. I can't do them both at the same time. I can't step and fling my arms out in sync. No, that's awful. Yeah. So that's been a big change because now, of
has.
course, I mean, we've moved away from it's all about the cardio. Now it's so much more
I know.
varied. It's about mobility and being able to move and build
Longevity.
strength. Particularly for women,
Yeah.
it's become more about building strength because before we all thought, oh, well, if you lift weights, you get bulging biceps or big thighs.
Look like Arnie.
Yeah, look like Arnie's sister.
Yeah.
Yeah, we wanted to avoid that. So, yeah, it was all about Jane Fonda, leg
Yeah.
warmers,
Oh, it
bright
was.
colours,
Yeah.
and hair. Yeah.
And if you go to one of T's classes, it still is.
Now, just for listeners, we've only got 4 mics and 4 earphones, so Paulie's not on a mic, so that's why there's a little delay. He has to snatch it off Elaine, who we found out actually has a very natural voice for radio, and you're probably going to be invited on as maybe some kind of MC or something like that.
Hey,
Listen to
for a small fee.
We also today, I thought I'd share this with you guys in the episode. We had some technical issues when I was starting up. I couldn't get it working, and we're checking all the mics and all the lines and doing multiple sound checks, and I'm like, fuck, couldn't quite get to the bottom of it, and everyone's kind of here ready, and I'm like, man, I can't figure it out. And then I realized that I hadn't plugged the sound desk into my computer.
Okay.
I've done that before.
But yeah. So just to share that.
That's another reason for no lunchtime drinking.
I only had one beer. I only had one beer.
You want a leg?
That's another thing that's changed over the years.
You boys have gotten looser.
Yeah.
Ali, what was your intro to the training piece? What do you, when you think back to its beginnings?
So my mum worked down at the University of Ulster in the sports section, so would have been called the sports centre back then. And I always remember going down to aerobics classes probably 3-4 times a week. As Elaine and Doris were saying, it was the leotards and the tights and, you know, the G-string leotards as well, I might add.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
Yep.
over the tights.
Yeah.
So
This
the
was only
whole-
for grown women? Or was this just the look?
Well, this was just
Yeah.
the look
Adolescence,
back then.
every- yep.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was all grapevines, all that sort of stuff, high intensity sort of cardio, more dancing than actual
Yeah.
compound movements. But yeah, that was, and I loved it. Loved it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Did you say University of Ulster?
Yeah,
Where's that?
Ulster.
Ulster. Just outside Belfast.
Okay.
Yeah.
Northern Ireland.
Yeah, so Mum worked there part time. They had it's a massive university down there. They had a big sports complex, Olympic pool, all that sort of stuff. So she just worked there part time. So we used to go down cheap and do the classes, swimming, squash, stuff like that.
Cool. Sports.
So always brought up quite sporty. Always, yeah, did athletics and hockey and squash and tennis and all that sort of stuff. growing
Wow.
up. Yeah.
How old were you when you had that introduction to the gym?
Probably, well, I would still have been at school, so maybe, I don't know, 15, 16.
Okay.
Yeah. But it wasn't like a gym, as in, you know, going in and sort of weights and that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
But
it's
it
like a
was
studio
it was,
kind of-
Yeah, it was classes where you had the mirrors and everybody, looked at themselves in front of the mirror when they were doing their grapevines and their aerobics. But it was fun. I always remember really enjoying it. And then came step aerobics, and I loved that even more.
You know, what I find funny is that, and I sometimes, my physio that I go to, he works out of a Fitness First in Maroubra. That's Nick Batcher, if you're wondering. And so I have to go into the Fitness First to see him. And so sometimes we'll train in the gym because I'll come show you a couple of exercises. They still have steppers in Fitness First. And I remember even at Anytime Fitness when I worked there as a young PT, they have steppers in gym, like just one or two. It's
Yeah.
like this throwback to...
Yeah.
Pretty sure they probably still do step classes, don't
Well,
they?
I
don't
did
know.
step
I don't know.
classes
I
at
don't
Fitness
know.
First whenever, I'm sure it was whenever I was living in Randwick, so I'd say maybe probably about 15, 16 years
Yeah.
ago. I used to go to a step aerobics class at Fitness First in Randwick.
Would have been some serious stepping going on.
That's fabulous.
Get quite competitive? Like, would it... Yeah?
Yes.
I'm guessing like you have in the gym now, or, you know, if you go to a CrossFit class or an F45 or something, people get pretty competitive about exercise. Was it just as competitive in that format?
Oh, yeah, that's why I never did it. Because I was shit at it.
I never. That was the one class I never did.
Did you? Oh, I loved it.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I like aerobics. Like I'd like
It's
it
so much
in the same
fun.
way
It
I like a
is
dance
fun.
class.
It is. It's just like dancing.
Yeah, your arms are above your head, you're swinging them around, you get warm. It's fun, you spin
It
around.
is. Yeah.
I'd get down on some
Bring
of
it back. Bring it back.
Yeah.
Maybe, fuck, popular demand. Maybe we got to do it.
that. Not here though.
Just,
Well, Paulie's call us, Paul.
Not what the
Nick
neighbours
Golkin.
say.
Maybe you get Nick Golkin to maybe flesh a class.
Ooh, perfect.
Oh, he'd be a good man for
Yeah.
it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Some simple steps.
I'm in. Sign me up.
So with that introduction, like, so from that and then, you know, going, like looking at what you do now, Doris, you don't train with us as much as you have done in the past. You still
No.
drop in, you know, like to paint that, we still consider you one of our tribe forever, right? I think you were, when you and your family, you brought your husband in, you brought your daughter Brooke, and then later came your son Steve.
And his wife.
And Steve's wife,
Yeah.
Bianca.
Yeah.
And all of you trained with us for a long period.
Yeah.
And Brooke is I was just talking to you before, she's been amazingly consistent.
Yeah.
Like still, she'll probably be in here
Yeah.
tonight.
Yeah.
looking at what you guys do in your training now, where you're lifting weights, and you're lifting barbells, you're doing Olympic weightlifting, you're doing gymnastic strength training. Some of you are dabbling in fight, like Ali. You've dived into the Fight Factory classes here, the Thai boxing. Dabbled in a bit of jiu-jitsu. Have you? Maybe girls, maybe made onto the mats. Tried it. How do you? Does it surprise you, or like how do you kind of see what you do now versus what it was like back then?
It never ceases to amaze me what we do in this gym now compared to what I used to do. I think back to when I first started at Jungle Brothers, and we had Vic. Remember Vic?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I'd come from a kind of a boot camp setup, and I'd seen these guys running up and down Pemberton Street thinking, oh, well, where are they coming out of? And I'd seen this little warehouse, and I thought, it's worth looking into. And I turned up a few days to, give it a go. And he had us on beer barrels trying to sort of roll them with our feet down the middle of the gym. And I thought, this place is weird, but I kind of like it. So, and I think that was the start of an adventure in a way, because every class was very challenging, especially when you start out. You're trying to, kick up to a wall. That took me, I think, months to get. You're trying to get your chest to a wall, or walk on a beam, or balance on a stick. And it's like all of those things I had never even thought about doing. And I thought I was fit and I was strong, and I could run for days, and I could, do an aerobics class for hours, but there is no way I could kick up to a wall or do any of those things that we do regularly here now.
Yeah.
And now that's all part of the fun of it.
Yeah.
And now I see new people coming in, and it takes them a while to get used to that as well, and it's great to watch. Yeah. It's like a big adventure playground.
That's exactly what it's.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it's like.
And what about what were you doing before? You were doing boot camp before you came to us?
Yeah.
I mean, even that is so different to what you've described as, the aerobics classes. Yeah. What was that progression within the fitness industry, where it went from this regimented thing where you're wearing uniforms to go into a women's only class to becoming, you're outside, you're on the beach or whatever, swinging kettlebells and running around?
I think I'd dropped off from the gym scene, and I'd gotten really heavily into my running, and I was running 5 days a week, doing distances, and it kind of dawned on me that I was losing a fair amount of strength, and I needed to work a little bit on that. So I found this great boot camp local to Botany. That's where I bumped Alison, and I got into it. It was great training outside, and it was great. Again, though, when I first started there, I couldn't lift a kettlebell because I hadn't done it for such a long time, and I couldn't squat, or I could do nothing. So everything but I could run for days.
Yep.
But after a while, you kind of think, there was an end to that. You get to a point where it's not going to take you any further, and I guess that's what I was looking for when I came to this gym, and I still every week or every month there's something new. So there's a cycle, it keeps going. There's always something to achieve. I'll never get to a point where there's not a challenge that there's always a new challenge.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Mastery is never attained.
Yeah.
No, Doris, please.
No, I was going to say my journey, I guess, is very similar to Elaine's, because I just used to spend 90% of my time just running, and I'd go to yoga to stretch afterwards. Even though I would go to the occasional gym class, JB's was honestly the first place where I actually learned how to do a push-up properly. I think of JB's as my fitness academy. Seriously, I didn't have good form in anything. And I've just learnt so much, and exactly what Elaine was saying, that you just do learn something all the time. And just because we're packing at the moment, just going through old photos of my marathon days when, I would run for 4 hours a couple of times a week, training, and there's pictures of me, and I have absolutely no muscle tone. I weigh the same. Weigh the same, but absolutely not one muscle. I thought I looked good then. but I have got, so.
Were you like skinnier, smaller?
Well, my weight's the same.
Yeah.
My weight has stayed the same, but it just, I don't know. They were just
You got some
arms.
time.
I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah.
And
You're jacked now.
She's jacked.
and I can still remember after coming here for a few months, and I went to the dentist, and he's like, "Oh, Doris, what have you been doing?" honestly, and I don't know. My body started to change, and I know it's so good to get strong. Like, I still love running, but I definitely don't do it as much. And oh my God, the thought of running for 4 hours now would terrify
It's
me.
true.
But
I hardly ever run
just-
now.
but yeah, it's just wonderful just to do all these different things. And now when I'm at another gym and I might be on the rings or something, and people will come up and say to me, "Are you a gymnast?" and I'm like, "Oh, no, I've learned all this at Jungle Brothers." And I'm like, "Oh, you've got to go. They teach you all this stuff." But like in normal gyms, whatever, people think this stuff is amazing. Even if you're crawling around and doing a lizard, people come up and talk to you and ask you, you know, where you learnt this stuff.
Yeah.
And
It's funny that it's
just-
so that it's almost like the in a normal gym, to
Yeah.
use those words, like it that
Yeah.
they're almost like starved of information.
Yeah.
It's just a lack of, there's just no one in there showing them how to do it.
yeah,
But it's so funny that they become like a, I don't know, like a time, like they got the
Yeah.
stepper, they're
Yeah.
not doing the, like, it's like a
Yeah.
time capsule.
yeah. No, it's interesting. Yeah.
Ali, how about you? When you came, I remember when you started training with us.
Yeah.
You're very stern when you first showed up. I thought, I don't know if Ali's gonna.
Very stern.
You're quite stern. And you were like, and I think if I remember correctly, you're like, I'm training somewhere else. I just wanted to come in and try a couple of classes and see what I think. I'm not committing to anything. And I'm like, okay, that's right. And I remember, so like I knew that it was like, all right, we're on show. But you were already doing a bit of lifting and stuff. What was your training like
Yeah.
prior to?
Well, over the years, like I'd go to the gym maybe 2-3. My chair just moved. I swear I
just
didn't do
noticed.
anything.
Yeah,
Did you
no,
see me
it probably
sing?
did.
Yeah.
We got
Wow.
these on special.
I literally just felt myself lower.
Yep.
So like I'd go to the regular gym just 2-3 times a week, do my own thing. But I used to get bored, and then I'd back off for maybe a couple of months. Then I'd go again, and then back off again, and then started training. And once I hit 40, I thought I've got to get training. I want to get back into my fitness, and that's when I joined the outdoor, which I loved. It was fantastic, and that's when I decided to do my Cert 3 and 4, but unfortunately never finished my Cert 4.
Ah.
Still on the radar.
She still can.
But got halfway through, Dad got sick, and I just, it had to be done in the year. I obviously had to pay again, and I just let it fall by the wayside. But yeah, and then went from one park to another park with another fitness trainer, and just find that it was very intense. I loved it at the time, but when I think back now, it was just too much. Like just what we did, the really heavy weights that we were lifting in the park was actually quite insane.
Was this was that sort of early days CrossFit inspired
That's
stuff?
exactly what it was.
Heavy
yeah.
lifting and a lot of conditioning.
Very much based on the CrossFit workouts, but in an outdoor setting.
Okay.
Yeah, so we still had like the outdoor, like a pull-up bar, and the rings would just go up in the park, and we'd still do all the stuff that you do with CrossFit. But again, I felt myself starting to get really sort of just niggles that weren't there before, and I just thought, I'm getting older. I'm just too much. So that's when I spoke to Elaine, and she said, "Come and try Jungle Brothers." And I went, "Oh, okay, I'll come and give it a go." So I was walking past one day, ducked in, Joey was there. And I remember thinking,
He
don't
charmed
know
her.
if it's for me, I just thought,
I was like, where's that accent from?
Yeah,
From Belfast.
Yeah. So just not sure. And I remember my first class was a jungle gymnastics class, and I came in and you were doing the shoulder stands and the parallettes, and I was just like, I just couldn't believe what you were doing. Like, I'd never done anything like that before. And yeah, again, like Elaine and Doris were saying to me, that was so exciting. It was something new, something challenging that I couldn't do. Yeah, so that was.
It's a feeling, isn't it? You get to a point sometimes in your training where you think,
Yeah.
God, I'm good. You know, I'm so good at this. And then you walk into a place and they get you to do something for them, which is pretty basic, and you fall flat in your face.
Totally, and I
And you
think that's what it was. It was like something that was challenging me, that like sort of before, you know, you'd learn to, you know, do your heavy squat or your heavy deadlift, and, you know, you could lift really heavy, or you could run and, you know, all that sort of stuff, swing the kettlebell. But for me, that
But
shoulder
could you
stand
skin a
on the
cat?
parallels. I had no idea what a skin the cat was. So, you know, and then the stuff on the rings obviously
Yeah.
really attracted me, all the gymnastic stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And you became the poster girl of Jungle
Poster
Brothers
girl.
shoulder stand and L-sit. You made it to the promo video, remember, at the old gym?
That's right.
And you're there doing the
Yeah.
L-sit, and I'm like coaching you
Yes.
through it, looking like a savage.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that old gym.
What do you think? There's
Yeah.
it's cool, huh?
It was cool.
With because T's leaving on Sunday, and we've been, you know, Paul made a nice post about him on Instagram, and then
Yeah.
we've been looking at some old photos and stuff, and we've been looking at a lot of footage from the old gym.
Yeah.
I loved it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a cool place. It was a ramshackle gym.
Memories.
I still walk past with the dog when I'm out with the dog.
Me too.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I remember pushing the sled.
I can't believe we all fit in there. I mean, it's so
It was
small.
so small.
It was so good.
We really maximised the hell
Yeah.
out of it.
For sure.
Especially in the last few months before we moved here, it was really rammed.
It was, wasn't it? Yeah,
but
because
it
it
all
was
worked.
coming into summer, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But people were way more aware of the space, you know, like the lift class. Remember, like you'd work
Yeah.
in pairs, program
Like
would
Yeah.
work at
20
There
people
was
in
like
there.
20 people. Now we have 20 people, we have 12 people in here, and everyone just like spreads out.
That's right.
It's true.
yeah.
Not as efficient with space, but it was really well oiled before we left.
Well, you had the rig
Yes.
with the,
Yep.
what do you call the hooks for the
With
barbell?
the squat racks
So you
and the
didn't
rig.
have to get the, you know,
Yeah.
bring the squat racks out every time. And
Yeah, it's true. But I mean, even then, we had like, what, 3 of those?
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
it wasn't equipped to handle serious numbers.
no.
Oh dear, it was fun.
What do you think, you know, looking at that and that, what you've all touched on, that idea of not being good at something, so you're coming into something new and it's like, fuck, this is a challenge, I'm not good at this.
Yeah.
It can be really easy at that point to just to go, oh, I'm not going to do it, like, because I'm not, you know, because it's hard, right? The ego takes a hit. Like you have to pay a small price to engage in that and go, all right, I'm going to suck at it for a bit, but I'll learn it and I'll get better. Was that ever a thing for any of you where you're like, you know what, this is all too much?
No, I just loved it. I love sucking at things.
Can you get your mic?
Sorry.
No, you're good.
Yeah, I kind of like sucking at things. I like having things to work on. And I'll be honest, from the first time I walked into JB's at Pemberton Street, I don't know, I just felt like home. I hadn't been at a gym for a few months, and the one that I'd been to before, just the vibe, it was just horrible. Like, if you did better than anyone else, people would just say, oh, you're just trying to show us up, or just horrible things.
Ooh.
So, yeah, just things like that. So coming to Jungle Brothers, where everyone was just so accepting that everybody sucks at things, and I don't know, it was just
I mean, that
such
is
a
the thing.
breath of fresh air. And if you do well at something, people are genuinely happy for
Yeah.
you. And then if you don't, you just laugh at yourself. And
Yeah.
it's just, I had never come across that before in any other gym I had been at.
Having such a variety of exercise styles and
Yeah.
movements, it
Yeah.
gives everyone an opportunity to shine in some way, because
Yeah.
there will always be something in the great spectrum
Yeah.
of what we do here that you can excel at. You know, not everyone's going to be able to be great on the rings, or not
Exactly.
everyone can
Yeah.
excel in Fight Factory, but there will be one element of the training here that you will be able to
Yeah.
achieve to a pretty good standard if you're consistent. And I think that's great. It's
Yeah.
great for people's feelings about their self-worth and their confidence. So yeah, I think that's great.
I know for me, over the 40 odd years that I've been training, like, I just genuinely love it. And But now being healthy is in vogue and it's fantastic. But for so many years, you wouldn't dare tell people because it's, oh, you're a fitness fanatic, or, you know, running's going to ruin your knees, or running gives you... Like, people were always, I don't know, people were always trying to make you feel bad because you were trying to be fit, because it wasn't.
It wasn't the done thing.
It wasn't the done thing. So I just love it now that, you know, being fit and healthy is wonderful.
How far back are you talking there? Like, when was that the culture?
Oh, even 10 years ago, I can still remember this guy, this really unfit person walking up the stairs and just saying to me, "Oh, you're still running?" And he could hardly breathe, and I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "You know, it's really bad for your knees, don't you?" And I'm just like, you know, or just people commenting because you're not eating the junk food they're eating. "Oh, you want to diet? You don't need to." Oh, anyway, I just think for me, this is just fantastic that, I don't know, people love being fit, and there's a whole lot of us who love being that way.
And I guess, you know, you walk in somewhere like this where there's such a sense of community. Everyone has the same sort of outlook.
Yeah.
It is like a second home, I guess.
It is.
Sometimes I take this place for granted.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was thinking because like maybe, and I'm thinking back because we're kind of looking back decades before, like where was there a place that existed that you could kind of go in there, you know, and have like a community around the thing that you're doing.
Yeah.
And I think, I guess that was sports teams, wrestling teams, sports.
Yeah.
But not like in the sense where it was like gym.
No.
People trying to get stronger. So around strength, there wasn't like a community for men and women to go in there, and people showing each other things. And there wasn't a place like that, right?
No, there wasn't.
Yeah.
I think that's why I spent so much time training on my own. I enjoyed training on my own, and I think that was the basis of it. And
it's certainly not a place that had as much variety of stuff that was like, hey, there's a bit of gymnastics.
Sure. Yeah.
Adults, we can play with it.
Yeah.
There's a bit of fighting for adults, and, you know, we get to play with that. And I guess it was...
there was
so I guess for you guys, after trying things for so long and having somewhere where there was like the community part as well with the movement.
Yeah.
Were you ever part of a place that was like, had that vibe to it? There was no... Not really, eh?
No.
It's not
No.
really. Were you going and having a barbecue on a Saturday?
Church?
Absolutely not.
Church?
Anyone ever go to church?
No.
Like as a regular thing?
Growing
did really like,
growing
I
up,
did.
I did,
There's lots of
yes.
church.
Yeah.
Church is a big part of Irish upbringing.
Well, yeah, we went to church. We went to Sunday school every Sunday.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If
Yeah, it
you're,
was just-
forgive my my ignorance, is there a predominant Catholic or Protestant if you're from the north?
So
Or is it just a split?
It's a bit of
I
a
think
mix.
it's about half and half. I'm not even sure what
Okay.
the split is now.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Which one were you?
I'm Proddy.
Oh, I knew it.
He's going to ask me now.
No, I
isn't he?
know. We do like each other, honestly.
It's okay. We've never let it get in the way of our friendship.
I'll knife her if I see her outside.
Yeah. No, I think that's a lot of what Doris was saying rings true. But I think particularly, well, maybe I'm being a bit presumptuous here, but for women especially, there was a real sense of that. Years ago, shouldn't you be at home minding the kids or cooking dinner or whatever? You know, to take that time for yourself to look after your own fitness and health.
Don't get me started.
How can you be so selfish?
Yes, of course.
Shouldn't you be at home making a home for that man who's out there earning your keep all day?
I know.
It's crazy, isn't it?
I know.
Still around some of those things.
It is.
Yeah.
And you still get
But
those people who rip on you for being healthy,
I
Yeah,
know.
totally.
but it's less.
Yeah, I think there's
definitely less. Yeah.
there's been changes to a lot of cultural things there, hasn't there?
Yeah, and I think also just the fact that we are older now, I think if anybody said anything now, you'd sort of put them in their place. Whereas when I was younger, it was like this sweet little thing that would never say anything mean.
Have
and
you
I'm
seen
like,
Doris's guns?
Yeah.
Just beat them into a pulp.
But even like 10
Challenge
years
them to
ago,
a push-up comp.
being at this like just at a gym and just doing a circuit boxing class, at the end of every class, the teacher would say, okay, the men have got to do, I don't know, 10 burpees in a minute. The women have to do 8 or 7 in the minute. And every week after week, I just got really angry. I'm like, why do men do more than women? And I remember saying something, and the teacher's like, okay then, well, we're all going to be looking at you now because you're going to do 10. And even the women were all shitty with me because, and I'm like, why are men? I don't know. Anyway, it just made me so mad.
Understandable.
Yeah, I'm just as strong as you. Yeah.
Stronger.
We have that still sometimes between the large and the smaller size barbells. Because the larger barbells just get referred to as man or male because if you were practicing the sport of Olympic weightlifting, the males lift a 20 kilo bar and the women lift 15.
Oh, okay.
But, sometimes we explain that in a bit of a rush. And it's like, just grab the smaller one. The smaller one's a female bar. And people be like, why is that the female bar? You remember Pam that used to train with us?
Yeah.
Pam always grabbed the heavy bar.
Yeah.
Always. I'm like, the other one's better. And she said, I know. And I was like, cool.
Yeah.
Fucked up the explanation on day one.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
Doris, you mentioned to me years ago that you came into the exercise piece a bit later in life.
Yes.
In your 30s or something?
No, when I got married at about 21, prior to that I had done absolutely nothing my whole life, and I was very, very, very unfit. Even walking home from school, I'd have to, which was only 1.5 kilometres, I'd have to stop and rest. Just my upbringing, not being allowed to go anywhere or do anything. So I guess I had this view of myself that I was, I don't know, unphysical, is that a word? I don't know. And then when we got married, we decided to get fit, so we started running every day, which would have only been 25 or 50 metres at the very most, and we'd both want to throw up. And it was just going every day, and I can still remember running, I don't know if it was 5 miles or kilometres, and just crying because I couldn't believe that I could do that. And I think I used to get upset that I wasn't allowed to do all these things when I was younger that I wanted to. But now I'm so grateful because I think that's what's made me appreciate being able to move, and it's such a privilege, and I just enjoy it. And I often go to bed so excited thinking about what I'm doing the next morning. That sounds really weird, honestly. And
what time is it that you're in bed drifting off?
I guess 8:30.
Right on.
And I just love getting up at 4:30 in the morning, and I've done that. I started getting up that early when I had kids, and I love being out in the dark and I just love it.
I think you're a pretty exceptional human in that way. Would everyone agree? That
Absolutely.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Just the energy that you bring to it and the positivity and.
Oh, thank you. But I think it's easy when you just really enjoy something. I mean, I'm doing it for me, but I just genuinely love it, so I'll always make time for it. Yeah.
She's such an inspiration.
She is, isn't she?
Absolutely. 100%.
But was your first, when you came to the gym, was it Phil that you met?
It could have been. He was here at that time.
Phil.
Loved Phil.
Yeah.
AKA the muscle shark.
Yeah.
Muscle shark.
Yeah, he used to take and Vic and yeah.
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 I'm trying to remember who it was that told me about you. They said,
this old woman.
this little like older woman came in last night. She's amazing. She was so happy to be here, and she's going to bring in her whole family. And she was a bit older than everyone else, but she was like really good at it all, and she was super fit. And I'm like, man, who is this woman? And it was like this. I didn't meet you for a few days, and it was like, Doris, who's Doris? And then and then you were coming in, and you literally brought in the whole fam.
I did.
It was like you doubled our membership base within like a day.
I'll be honest. When I first came here, I actually thought I wanted a place all for myself. I just thought I'm not going to tell anyone about it. But then I sort of was so obsessed. I just used to talk about it all the time, and actually we all did. It was like we were in a cult.
We were.
And
we did consider ourselves cult members.
Yeah.
Yeah.
we'd meet for coffee or something. That's all we talked about.
That's how it felt. And Noni.
Yeah.
Noni was
Noni,
another
I love
member of the
Noni.
cult.
Hi,
Founding
Noni.
member of the cult.
Yeah, she was obsessed as well.
Yeah.
we
So cool.
we really, yeah.
What do you think? Can you talk on? And I don't necessarily want you to compliment us in this, but I'm interested to see, because you've seen the gym go from it being like Vic and Phil and myself and T, and then all, you've just seen it evolve. You've seen Paul come in, Alan come in, to the point now where T's leaving. I don't coach anymore. Can you talk on like how that's been from your end as someone who, because you get used to a thing and you like a thing the way it is. Got any thoughts on that?
Wow, there have been some changes.
Yeah.
I mean, if I looked at day one, my first day, and then I look at this morning, just the comparison between those 2 days, those points in time, the changes have been huge. And there is always that getting your head around changes as they happen. You sometimes think, I don't like how, that's changed and they're no longer doing those classes and I really love that, and you can lose it. And then you just give things a chance, and you see that, well, unless things do change or people don't, as people move on, it creates movement, and that's how things grow, and that's how you let other people grow up. So like this morning, I looked around me, and there was a class going on, and there was maybe five different small groups of personal training going on, and that, I mean, you look at that, and 6 years ago at Pemberton Street, that never could have happened, and that's such a huge change, and actually relatively short period of time. I mean, really, to go from that small to this big.
It's true.
So yeah, I don't know.
I like that when it does, there is friction at first, and we're always thinking that, we're like, fuck, this change, this is going to hurt, and then sure enough, that change creates a new opportunity, and then that new opportunity brings a different thing about it, like a new set of value, and people learn to like it, or maybe not, but there's an opportunity there.
It's very hard to remember everybody's name because there's so many members now. It was easy in the early days. That's what I find hard.
That was Noni and I's biggest competition. Who could remember everybody's name? And we used to rhyme them all off. And we'd get to like member number 54. Oh, what was his name? What was his name? Yeah. I think we knew everybody. Don't know everybody now, but that's okay. I can live with that.
Ali, what about you? That same kind of, that same idea, like, because you've had the experience as a coach as well, and that's been evolving the whole time.
Yeah, totally. Look, if I'm honest, I'm not a big lover of change. I'm very set in my ways. So for me, I think it was pretty hard, the move from the old gym to the new gym. Just the numbers in class increasing, just the different people that were coming in, all people leaving. And I did find it hard initially. And I think for a while, I sort of took a step back from my training here. I sort of felt, I think it was around COVID. And I don't know, I just got a bit of cold feet with my training and just tried a few other sort of areas of training. But there was nothing like this, so came back here, and now I reckon I'm a lot more consistent.
The true believers always come back.
But I think for me, the change, I find it harder to deal with than maybe a lot of people. But I'm like that anyway. My husband will always tell me, you just are so set in your ways. You have to do this and you have to do that. You have to change. And I'm like, no, but I like my life. I like my routine. I like, that's just the way I am. But change, you need it for life to continue. You have to have change.
And when the changes, you saying that you didn't love them, was it because of how it felt to train here, or was it because the coaching didn't feel that you weren't getting the same attention?
No, I don't think it wasn't the coaching. I think it was just something. I don't know. I think just over COVID, and once we started coming back into class, and the classes were quite big, and I think I don't know. I just felt a little bit claustrophobic, and I just decided to back off just a little bit, and sort of went through that. Oh, do I want to continue training here? Do I not? Like, I really had a lot of questions for myself regarding my training, but obviously tried a few different sort of areas of training, but just didn't work for me. So came back to this because I love the gymnastics. I love the movement. What's not movement prep now? What is it? Body weight. Body weight. Still call it movement prep. And again, like, as
we all
Doris,
know it's jungle gymnastics at heart.
it was
Jungle
gymnastics. Well, but as Doris was saying, you go other places, and especially as a coach as well. Like, I constantly found myself looking at the way people were doing things in a class and thinking, oh my God, that is so bad, and nobody correcting them. And I really find, like, the cues that we're taught here, and just the way, like, the movement is taught so well, it's just something you don't get anywhere else. Like, you really don't. So yeah.
That's cool. It's good to know that it funneled you back in.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Like, you do. You go and you watch people do things elsewhere, and you think, you cringe. It's nearly like you want to go up and correct them yourself.
I know.
But you can't.
Yeah.
But yeah, like those. I remember when I was doing the internship, how nervous I was because we had to coach you guys, and just. I remember I was so tongue-tied and couldn't get my head around everything. And now, because I've been doing it for, like, 4 years with you guys, it's just, I'm still learning. Like, I'm still learning new cues. I'm still learning, how to coach, which is awesome.
I mean, that's great as well. You have seen that evolution with all the new coaches coming in. There's been a real... You all learn from each other as well, because you're all from such different backgrounds, and everyone brings something new to the game. And I think that's had a knock-on effect with some of the classes and the structures and what we work on. And I think that's great. It's a whole big mix. Otherwise, it just becomes a bit too bogged down in one discipline, I guess.
Yeah, and that's right. And I think if it were just T and I program the classes like it used to be, back at that old gym, you'd get pretty samey after a while because we run out of ideas, and So having all of this new influence and new energy means that all of it can continue to evolve.
Yeah, it's kind of exciting.
Yeah,
It is.
But to your point, though, it also, like, I understand how. At times it can be like, for whatever reason, I want to try something new.
Yeah.
Like, that is I think with the training piece, it's like, this might be the best gym you've ever been to, but that doesn't mean that you wouldn't want to try another gym someday because you just want a fucking different set of faces to look at, or a different location to drive. That. So that makes sense to me as well. But now that you're a coach, you're not going anywhere.
But it's funny when you do go somewhere else. And it's basically like a cattle market. You run in, you do your class, you run out. Like, there's
You don't talk to anyone.
no community at all. There's no, like, you don't talk to anybody.
No.
And, like, some people like that. Some people want to come in, they want to do the workout, and they want to get out. They don't want to talk to people. But when you've come from this and you go to something
really
like
notice
that,
it.
It's
you
a
really
rude shock.
notice.
It is.
It really is.
I have to say, I haven't tried any other gyms since I started here, but I have become a big lover of yoga, and that's all your fault anyway. And you probably don't want me publicising that, but it's actually true.
It's my biggest regret that I ever let you attend that yoga retreat.
But that's right.
Yeah,
That's
that was fantastic. Actually, those retreats were great. Might have been Josh Cordoba, of course. That was another big
I'd do
attraction.
anything with that guy.
I
Goddamn
offered, he
dreamboat.
wasn't interested. But yeah, that was another big highlight for me as well, going on that retreat. I mean, that's not the sort of thing your normal standard gym will do.
No.
I mean, you do get yoga retreats, but to be able to mix it up with movement classes as well, and that was great fun.
That was cool.
And what about the JB Games? I mean,
Oh.
they were literally the highlight of our year.
The JB Games.
Fuck
That's the
yeah.
highlight of the year.
Yeah.
Are they?
Should all be back on schedule.
Oh God, I'm going to practice my limbo.
19th of June.
There we go.
Yeah. Oh wow. Okay, got to put that in my diary.
Yeah, last year
Yeah.
Dylan tried to make it happen, but
Yeah,
because of
we
COVID
did.
restrictions, it was
Yeah.
too tricky.
That's okay. We'll
Yeah.
do it this year.
The fight
Yeah.
night was kind of the fill-in
Yeah.
for it in a way, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we chucked the fight night in just as soon as we were allowed to have some numbers in here.
Yeah.
That kind of came out organically, and that served to satisfy that, because the members, the fans, really wanted the games last year. But yeah, it's back this year, and we've already had a bit of a meet on it. Dylan's got new energy. I mean, Dylan's great, isn't he? He's
He is.
in a very short amount of time. I mean, he trained in here for a long time before
Yeah.
he stepped into the coaching role, and now admin and gym manager. He's got a lot of good energy, and yeah, he's bringing that to everything, including the games this year. So it should be a lot of fun.
Actually, it's been great watching Dylan grow.
Isn't it?
Oh,
Yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah.
I've had that conversation with a few people where you've seen him, man and boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely.
Yeah, he just takes on everything
Yeah.
that he can.
Yeah,
You-
he's
you
pretty
got-
confident.
He is.
Yeah.
He proposed. Was that before Christmas,
No,
To
I don't
Anna?
think it was that.
or was it earlier this year?
No, I think it was
Yeah.
earlier
Early
this
this
year.
year.
Yeah.
Proposed, did
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Said he was going to, just did it, and now he's getting married next year,
Yeah.
and he's going to have kids. Yeah, he's a go-getter.
Wow, love him.
On the a question for all three of you on the community thing, because you know we use that word a lot, but like every small gym uses that word a lot, right? And it is a thing. I think every small gym, most small gyms have some form of community. You can't really have a small business without there being some kind of community there, because everyone's showing up at the same time, whatever. What is it? Are you able to identify what it is here that allows that to exist in the way that it does?
Ooh, good question. What is it? I don't know. I think,
It's
well,
probably different for everyone, I can imagine.
yeah. I mean, you can't come here and participate in a class without talking to the person beside you, because there's a lot of that. Grab a partner. We're going to play a game. That if you're not the sort of person who likes to work in partner workouts, that can be quite confronting for a lot of people. But I think that once you get into it, you realise actually this is actually a lot of fun. Nobody ever finishes those games without a smile on their face, and that's the start of it. And then you get talking to people, and you enjoy their company, and you make friends, and then you'll organise a little event, and we'll all get together and socialise outside the gym, and it just snowballs. Before you know it,
Yeah.
you don't want to miss them. You're cancelling family holidays just so you can be there. Yeah, I don't know. And just, I don't know. Doris?
For me, it's just being around like-minded people and
Yeah.
people. Actually, Dylan said it perfectly in his newsletter today. Just how everybody's just so accepting of everybody else, and I think still at other gyms you get little cliques and everything, and there's never
No.
been anything like that here, and it just still feels like home, even though I don't come very often. I don't know, it just always feels like home the minute I walk through the door. It's like,
That's cool.
Yeah, if you're having a bad day, or you're not feeling 100%, you
yeah.
think, will I train or will I not? The minute you walk in through the doors,
Yeah.
you always feel like
It's never
100%
the
better.
wrong decision, is it?
No.
No. So, anyway.
That's cool. Yeah, it's
I
something.
know you didn't want a big rap about Jungle Brothers
Well,
during this conversation, but it always ends up coming back that way.
Yeah, and with that question, we often try and think like, how do we do? Could we put our finger on why this thing worked out the way that it did? And there's many things that have obviously most of the things we do are very intentional, but with that community aspect, it's like, what is it that brings people together in that way and makes people feel that way when they walk into the gym? Like why is it that you don't get that when you go to your other gym, say,
Yeah, I think part of I don't know if it's a written definition of a community is, but you have shared beliefs, and you also build a community around cultural events and traditions. So we kind of didn't do it on purpose at first until we had some people tell us that we did it really well, and then we looked at it and was like, hey, those things that we're leaning towards is actually really good for us. And then we leaned into those things, and they go from the events that you actually hold that are on a calendar down to the things like the handshake, which is like it's a greeting thing, and that's kind of part of like building of the community too. I think it's all those little bits outside the training. And then the fact that we reach into things that aren't just training. And yet social events, hanging out with people, and then whether it's mental health or playing games, freaking going bowling. Yeah. Like I think that's...
Building gardens.
Yeah, and it's not just like an attachment to a person over one thing. Because you work with a lot of people and you work at the same place, but you don't hang out with them.
No.
You know what I mean? It's just the common thing is that you come to the same place to make money. But here is like there's multiple facets of common things with people. Yeah. And I don't know, we don't exploit it's probably not the right word, but we lean into that part.
Yeah. I wanted to ask, as a bit of a closing piece, what's looking back after a long history of training for all of you, and obviously a long history, like a long duration of training ahead of you as well. But what would be something an observation that you would have told your younger self about training looking back now? Ali, I'm going to ask you first because...
Oh, gosh. I think I would say I think I've said this before, be consistent and just do what makes you happy. Yeah. I think.
No, I was going to say that. Yeah, what makes you happy? Movement that makes you happy.
Yeah, and I think I look at my kids now, and they can see that I'm at the gym all the time, and they're quite sporty themselves, and I encourage that. But they're just growing up for them. They've seen me going to the gym. They've seen that makes me happy. They see how cranky I get when I don't go to the gym. So for me as well, for them, I would just say, look, keep active, be healthy, just be happy doing what you're doing, and yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Doris?
I think something I have learnt that I don't have to train so hard every day. It's still a bit hard to follow.
To accept, yeah.
Yeah, but that's my main thing that I need to work on.
You have a tendency to overtrain a bit?
I do. I just work out probably very intensely, maybe for an hour and a half in the morning, which is great. But just now that I'm getting older, I will be so tired for the rest of the day. And I feel like I can still do the same things I did 20 or 30 years ago, but I just don't recover as quickly. So sometimes I'm just dragging myself through the day, and I just wonder, is it worth it that you don't have the energy to do other things? And maybe stay up to 9 o'clock.
Maybe you need to go to bed.
Just one night.
Have a late one.
Yeah.
Push the boat out, Doris. Pato, what about you?
Yeah, I definitely agree with Doris that I've learned it's more about quality than quantity. And I have reduced the number of times I come here, for instance. I've reduced from maybe 15 times a week.
Jesus.
Winter Warrior's coming back though. It's starting a month or so.
I'm down to once a day now.
Once a day?
I would say I get it most days, but I mix it up a lot more now as well. I used to be very focused on just going hell for leather, running. It was all cardio for me, and I've learned it's important to mix it up, include the strength training, include the mobility training, get some cardio in if you can, but it's not get in the yoga, get in the mind space too. So it's a holistic approach. You can't just focus on one element if you're training, otherwise you end up breaking, I reckon. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good call.
Yeah, I feel better than I ever have.
Me too, actually.
Yeah, when you get to my age, 75, that's not a bad thing.
I wanted to ask for a favourite JB's memory or a funny story or something like that. I know we giggled about Noni before. Is there something we can share?
Oh, mine's definitely the video she took of Elaine when Elaine was doing a handstand, and Elaine, I think, was
Tell us.
Noni trying to
Detail
spot you, or Elaine just went.
I think that might have been the shoulder stand, but I used to feature in most of
Yeah, there was a
Noni's home
scream, wasn't
videos.
there? Or a
There
yell.
was something, and I
Yeah.
just always remember looking and thinking, laughing.
There's a
I
classic
featured
Elaine
in a
yell
lot
that we
of-
know.
Yeah. There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I've dropped the barbell off my back and it went rolling down the driveway at the old gym into the road on Pemberton Street.
And Pernoni, I know if she listens
Yeah.
to this, one of my highlights is whenever she ripped her tights,
Yeah.
and I think
And
she drew a little smiley face.
on the hole on the back of her,
did.
her ass cheek.
always remember it.
I remember her telling me and Mitch that she had a bad rash on her butt and she just pulled her pants right down to show us at the gym. And Mitch and I are just like, what?
No inhibitions.
But because it's Noni, it's like,
Oh,
yeah,
well, it's a
yeah.
it's a Noniism.
maybe put some cream on it, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, she's a
She was
great
the
value
highlight,
girl.
honest to God. She was the highlight of every morning class just to make
Yeah.
us, laugh so much. Anyway.
I can't pick one other thing that, I can't. There are too many good memories, funny memories, things that have happened. We've been to too many events to pick one element of those to say that was a highlight. Yeah. They've all been highlights.
That was good.
Yeah.
With your one last question, with the volume of training, because you mentioned you're down to around one a day. Prior to that, you would do how many times a day would you come in?
At least twice.
And often that'd be morning and night.
Yeah. Yeah,
Doris,
morning and night.
Same for both of you.
Mainly I exercise in the morning and just stretch at night.
But you used to come in at the night sometimes,
yeah, I did.
huh?
Yeah, I did. I guess
You was-
the body weight, whatever that was before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ali, did you ever do that both ends of the day?
Yeah, definitely. But more, it would have been the double classes,
Yeah.
which I don't do anymore. One
No.
class. It's the same thing as Elaine
Yeah.
and Doris.
Yeah.
I've learned just to back off, whereas before,
Yeah.
I would nearly have that guilty feeling if I didn't do the two classes.
Yeah.
Whereas
Not
now,
enough.
whereas now I just give everything for that one class, and I'm satisfied that. Yeah.
And do you think that that's relevant to your age, or do you like where you're at, or do you think that that's just a quality over quantity thing, and that you would, if you were to do it again, you would apply that kind of slightly less, but doing it to a higher standard?
I can't say I would apply that to a younger self.
Yeah.
Because I think you get full of the good feelings and you just want to go to as many classes as you can as you're younger. But I think I would try and persuade my younger self that that's not always going to, be the best thing for you. That you would actually get bigger gains if you trained really hard once a day rather than training twice, kind of half-assed.
Yeah.
Never, not half-assed, but if you're too tired for your second class to actually really make much of an effort, there's no real point doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes we used to come in at night.
We
and
just
talk.
have a laugh,
Yeah.
and we'd get in trouble.
We just
Shut up at the
we
back.
just no, we just came to talk. So
Fuck, especially
Friday
if Noni was
night, we
around.
we never
Relentless.
really. But
Yeah, you had to do 2 or 3 classes a day to get
Absolutely.
one class worth of exercise if Noni was around. Fun.
We love you, Noni.
Yeah, if you're listening to this, Noni,
Yeah.
come back. Yeah,
She'd be a goodie.
she would be a goodie. Yeah.
We're going to wrap it up there, but I wanted to just, we say it kind of to you all individually all the time, but thanks from us, from the Jungle Brothers, for being, for being such big contributors. They said this when we gave you the Member of the Year award, but thanks for being such big contributors to the story of this place and to, to getting it to where it is and still contributing now and even how that's evolved. Ali, you now coaching. I'm in here on Monday mornings when you're running your class and your classes are like heaving. And I'm like, fucking hell, look at, like, it's so cool to see what's come of those humble beginnings back at Pemberton Street.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know that this would come from Paul and T as well, but thank you for being part of it.
Yeah, same here.
you.
I'm also very proud to call you guys friends, like, because we've all become friends over the years, and
Yeah.
I'm just really happy about that. I think T would
me
be the
too.
same.
Yeah, I should have told the story about when I helped you slaughter a pig.
Oh, that's a good story, actually.
That's for the next one.
Next one. Okay.
Cliffhanger. Thank you for joining us, girls.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Much appreciated. Thanks, Paulie.
Pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you.
And guys, thanks for listening. I thank you to Panavore Cafe. We were drinking their coffee today. It was a little bit later in the day, so we're probably going to be paying the price for being so caffeinated later tonight. If you want any help with your training, please get in touch with us, junglebrothers.com, or if you want to find us on Instagram, it's at Jungle Brothers Movement. And if you did enjoy the episode, please share it with a friend or take a screenshot of it and post about it. It helps to support the show. Cheers, guys. We'll catch you next week. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thanks.